Thank you very much. And welcome to Cats and Dogs here on Press TV. With me, Len Topic, and we start with a man who's got a big problem with small ticks. Oh yes, Earth's richest person has caused an identity crisis. Shortly after Elon Musk took the helm at Twitter, he had a brilliant idea. Now that I've freed the bird, I want to liberate the blue tick from a bunch of politicians, celebrities, journalists, and other public figures. But hold on. These blue ticks were there to stop folks impersonating famous people. And it's worked. Until now. Because Musk did what any well-meaning person who wants to free birds would do. He let people who want to buy a blue tick do that for just $8 a month.
Hey, fellas! Look what I found in my pocket! Look! A year's salary right here! What I call them? Fun coupons! See that? A fun coupon! I'm on the sloop, John B. Grandfather and me around Nassau town.
So what's next? Phony ID for $10? Fake passports for $15? I mean, he's clearly determined to corner the market for bogus accounts. Now, this latest flip-flop is part of the, what's the word? I know, chaos at Twitter since Musk made his $44 billion acquisition. But why did he sell out the blue ticks? Maybe he does need the money. I mean, why else did he fire nearly half of Twitter's workforce, remove its board and its senior executives? Basically, he's turned a multi-billion-dollar international corporation into the online equivalent of a one-man band, the internet equivalent of Kevin Costner's character in Dances with Wolves. And like Costner, he's out there on his own, doing it single-handedly, and some would say absent-mindedly too. Perhaps he should have kept the blue tick thing a bit more exclusive, so on his really absent-minded days, he could at least check he's who he thinks he is. And that's actually a service the current president would find helpful too, but I digress. Anyway, to get some insights, we at Cats and Dogs asked former and current Twitter employees about the company, its new boss, its future, and more. Take a look. So, there you have it. Let's come back to that blue tick thing again. After the tsunami of new blue tick accounts impersonating influential individuals and brands led to chaos and confusion, Twitter added an official label to some accounts, essentially the old blue tick by a different name. But guess what? Musk scrubbed that label just hours later. Or was it scrubbed by someone just pretending to be Musk for $8 a month? Either way, in just weeks, Elon's made Twitter a cauldron of misinformation, disinformation, fake accounts, fake news, and fake people. In other words, Elon Musk did to Twitter what Donald Trump did to the White House. Musk is so beautiful, it's almost fake. So now Twitter has a whole new set of accounts ranging from Martin Luther, that's the original one, to O.J. Simpson and Tony Blair. There's even a George W. Bush, who says $8 is a small price to pay to make this app almost unusable. This Bush also adds, I miss killing Iraqis. And guess what? Former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair, apparently agrees with him, causing many to ask, were those really fake accounts? Some say, obviously, that makes them real. And that all gets a great big tick from me. Now, elsewhere, there's trouble over leaked words by a BBC Persian anchor. Not an anchor like you get on a ship. I mean, a TV anchor who causes depression by reading the news. This anchor, called Rana Rahimpour, apparently told her mother that enemies of Iran do not want a unified Iran and that their support for the unrest in that country isn't even sincere. in an apparent breach of BBC protocol. She's been publicly reported as saying editorial policy at Iran International, that's an anti-Iranian London-based channel, was dedicated to only interviewing party leaders who want a weak and broken Iran. Since the leak, Iran has been persistently threatened and exposed to cancel culture by, you guessed it, Iran International. Which is ironic, since this station also calls for freedom of speech in Iran, while cancelling her. How did this weird, contradictory situation happen? Well, if they start selling blue ticks, then we'll know exactly who gave them the idea. This does get more serious when you discover who's behind the station. Yes, it's the king of free speech himself, Mohammed bin Salman, that great Saudi reformer with consulates in, for example, Istanbul, where, like Hotel California, journalists like Khashoggi can check out, but they can never leave. Now, does Iran International have a point about what we might call Ranagate? Well, kind of. After all, Iran International could say that they pay her to be loyal. How, you ask? Because Rana's paid by the BBC, which is paid by the UK government, which is paid by the Saudis. Well, not exactly paid, like in taxes. It's usually just arms deals. But hey, taxes, bombs, what's the difference? As long as the UK stays loyal, what's the problem? Let's trade in ammunition, not revolution, eh? Now, talking of revolutions, France's Emmanuel Macron held protests in Iran as révolution. Apparently, the French president has some form of hyperopia, which is not to be mixed up with hypermarket, which is a big shop, or hyperopic, which is me when I'm excited. No, hyperopia is super far-sightedness, or, as it applies to Macron, super double standards. With his supervision, he's interpreted events in Iran, thousands of kilometers away, as a revolution. But hey, Macron, what about your yellow vests in your own country, in your own city? Oh, say nothing more than a tiny, little, teeny-weeny protest. Whatever happened to Viva la Révolution, the esprit de corps, liberté, qualité, fraternité? Behind the once glorious facades of Paris is the French state in existential crisis, where equalité is less important than escargot. Moving to the United States now, two historic military aircraft collided and crashed during an air show in Dallas. In a dramatic and fatal accident, the planes exploded into a ball of flames, sending black smoke high into the sky. Airshow safety, particularly with older military aircraft, has been in the news a lot. In 2011, 11 people were killed in Reno, Nevada, when a P-51 Mustang crashed into spectators. In 2019, a bomber crashed in Hartford, Connecticut, killing 7. And almost 21 accidents have occurred over 40 years involving World War II-era bombers. That's resulted in 23 deaths. Told Yahoo News UK she got unwanted physical attention in Parliament, one of many similar reports from Westminster. Charlotte Nichols MP for Warrington North said she'd experienced sexual misconduct at least a dozen times since being elected, adding, "As a younger woman MP, I've had instances of being propositioned in front of colleagues by an MP old enough to be my granddad repeatedly." Nichols was even advised to avoid some people for her own safety. What might the headlines say? Nichols warned, "You're young, you're female, you're normal. Why are you even here?" Tactile Joe Biden tells UK Labour leader, "I'm here to see someone, but it's not you, Keir." Senior parliamentarian tells Labour lady, "Well, hello." Prince Andrew claims, one doesn't recall ever meeting Charlotte Nichols, but tell her the check's in the post just in case. Just some ideas. That's all for this week. Join me again next time to find out who's facing unwelcome attention, who's facing unwelcome impersonators, and if Musk's still getting ticked off for selling big blue ticks. That's all on